All right, it's 9 a.m. Welcome, everyone. Excited to have you here. This is a session on building enterprise-ready apps, and we're going to be showcasing all the latest innovations with Agentforce Vibes, so really excited to get it kicked off. Before we start, you're all used to this by now, right? We're going to be talking about some future-facing products, so please make sure to make any purchasing decisions based on what's currently available. With that, we also want to give you all a big thank you. It's day 2 of TDX. Everyone have a good day 1. There we go. You all made it out here at 9 a.m. You're the people who really care. There we go. So quick round of intros. My name's Gonzalo Gambino. I'm a product manager here at Salesforce. Been at Salesforce 8 years. I own metadata and schema within the Salesforce Platform. And I have the privilege of being on stage with the recent Golden Hoodie winner, Sally.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Gonzalo. So I'm happy to be here with everyone, and thank you for coming early and joining the session. My name is Sally El-Ghul. I'm a Salesforce lead developer and architect, and I'm the founder of Code with Sally. I've been in the ecosystem for 16 years, and I'm happy to join Gonzalo and show you the latest MCP servers and everything he will be explaining to us right now.
All right, great. So this is a longer session, right? We got 40 minutes, so I wanted to just walk you through high level what we're going to be covering. I'll start off by setting kind of some context and kind of how the developer role is evolving. Then number 2 here, we'll talk about all the work we've been doing to enhance Vibes and really give the dev agent more context so that it can actually do what you want it to do. Then I'm going to turn it over to Sally, who's actually going to show you all this stuff in action, walking through a real life use case that she did. Then she'll follow that up with kind of some of the tips and tricks that she learned so you can all walk away with something yourselves. Then I'll wrap it up with some of the stuff we're going to be showing you. We're running an active pilot, so we're looking to recruit some customers. So we'll show that there, and then we'll have some time for Q&A to hear from you all as well. So let's jump right in. So before I get started here, hands, how many folks in the audience are developers? All right, great. Then you came to the right session. So it's definitely been a crazy past 3 years since the launch of ChatGPT, and I feel even like the last 6 months have been like even more crazy for like the developer role. I feel like AI and coding is really taken by storm. And again, like raise of hands, how many folks are actively using any kind of these tools that I have here? Great. All right, love to see you all jumping in. So I'm sure you're seeing this firsthand, right? The role of the developer is evolving, and it's quickly changing. And again, I think every role is going to evolve with AI. But again, developers are kind of getting hit first. And it's really spending less time doing actual coding and more time doing the upfront work of being more strategic. And we call this kind of the intent orchestrator persona, right? So hopefully, again, you guys are starting to see this in your roles. And so we'll kind of walk you through that as well. But with that, also, right, there's been a lot of headlines, different concerns. Is AI going to take my job? Things like that. The reality is, if we look at the numbers, again, over the past 6 months, the amount of openings for developers has actually been going up. So these tools just allow like creation of much more. So it's really opening up the access and people being able to do more. And the other factor is, right, companies want to adopt these tools and they want to move to the agentic enterprise. And who do they need to do that? They need you guys in the audience. So that's why you're extremely important in this time and age. And this is why here at Salesforce, we've been investing so much in the developer tools as well. And hopefully you all are familiar with Agentforce Vibes. It was launched at Dreamforce. You got a little sneak preview of what the 2.0 version is going to look like for those who attended the keynote. But for those not familiar, it's a VS Code extension. We also have a web-based version. It's kind of your agentic IDE where you can do development using natural language to code. It's built on top of the Salesforce platform, so you get all that security and governance goodness out of the box. We've also spent a lot of time making it easier to set up and get started. Now you get a lot of what we're going to be covering here, the skills outside of the box, and has more of the context. But where we're going to be really focusing this presentation is this bottom bullet here around all the work we've been doing to make the dev agent in Vibes more context aware. Because that's what's really needed, right? Anytime you're working with AI, it's all about context. I think originally we started with prompt engineering, right? That was kind of like, what do you prompt the AI with? Now we've moved over to context engineering. It's giving the AI the right context at the right time to do the job. So let's jump in. This is a little bit just to talk about the problem space a little bit more, right? Many of you are probably here on the left-hand side. You've used these AI tools. They're better and better every day. They work great, but they're still not perfect, right? They still tend to hallucinate. They don't really know what you're working against, again, unless you give it the right context. So there can be moments of headache, and we want to get you all to the right-hand side, right? Really building those agentic enterprises. And so what do you really need to unlock this? Metadata context. And what are we doing there? We have kind of two big things we've been investing in. One is introducing skills and different MCP tools. Think of this as like the toolkit that AI can use to then actually follow best practices. We're introducing more deterministic guardrails so that it can actually get done what you're asking it to do. And then the other pillar here is something I've been working on the last 6 months. Again, was briefly touched upon in the keynote. We're building a new product called the Salesforce Catalog. For those familiar with Data 360, we're basically doing a Data 360 but for metadata, a metadata 360, and you can think of that as once you give all that knowledge available to AI, it has a deep understanding of your org. So we'll be covering that more throughout this session. I want to dive a little deeply of how we've been thinking about this metadata context problem here at Salesforce, and we've been thinking it as 3 different levels. We'll start with the first one. And before I get there, a little joke, we tell ourselves, I'm sure maybe some of you are facing it too, I feel like with all these problems we're working with AI, we're kind of working ourselves out of a job because we're trying to teach these AIs how to do these jobs, right? So here we've been trying to like mimic the developer role to a degree. So if we think of level 1, we started with like, can the AI just develop code using the right syntax? So a lot of it, if you're generating metadata files, right, the XML, like, is it following the right metadata API format so that you can actually deploy the file? So, and for that, we've built API context. We have it today as an MCP. And post-TDX, we're going to be migrating that over to skills. So again, that helps the AI kind of generate the proper file structure. Then level 2 is kind of a notch above. It's not just about generating the right file structure, but like the actual contents in that file structure, right? And so we've been building different metadata knowledge files and storing those as skills as well. So we have them for like the top 20 metadata. These now ship out of the box for Vibes, and we're adding more and more. It's also in a GitHub repo, so it is open source, and we want the community to engage there and help build those out as well. But again, you can think of these as just kind of providing more guardrails for the dev agent to follow best practices when it's creating objects, fields, LWCs, or whatever it may be. Now, level 1, level 2 are great, but this only helps the AI or the dev agent starting like create net new things, right? It still doesn't really have context of what's already in your org. Most of you probably aren't starting from scratch, right? You're working with existing implementations, maybe 5, 10 years old, whatever it may be. They have a lot of existing metadata, a lot of tech debt. So you want to kind of reuse and kind of build off of what's already there. So that's where we've been investing in the Salesforce catalog. And so one other thing is, and the whole point there too is that you don't want to have to be able to, or have to retrieve all that metadata into your local file system, right? So with the Salesforce catalog, and we're exposing that via a metadata grounding MCP, we're now giving the dev agent full access to the metadata in your org, and then it can do semantic search on top of it and really start identifying, based on what you're trying to do, what existing metadata is already there to kind of reuse and extend on top of it. And so as we work our way ourselves up these different layers of context, right, the dev agent just keeps getting smarter, more intelligent, and you're starting to get those outputs that you want and expect from an agent that you're working with as a peer. This is just quick recap. I won't spend too much time, but again, a lot of effort since Dreamforce to really ship these tools. They're mostly available now. So we have DX MCP tools. There's about like 80 of them now. These come out of the box with Vibes, and they're really there to help you with your most common developer tasks. They can help you with like retrieve, deploy, different queries and things like that. Big announcement for TDX is we're shipping, like I said, 20 plus skills as well, and those come out of the box with Vibes. So please get your hands on those. And then, like I said, we have the metadata API context in beta. That's as an MCP right now, but we're also going to be moving that into skills as well. So basically, this slide covers level 1, level 2. Now, moving to level 3, I want to give you a little bit more of like, what is it we're doing with the catalog? So the way we've been thinking about that problem is we kind of have like 2 buckets of information that we're putting into the catalog. We start off with the technical metadata. This is all the stuff you all are deeply familiar with because you're working with it day in, day out, right? We have our schema, our objects fields, security, permission sets, UI, integrations, all the stuff, right? And so putting in the catalog, we now give AI the ability to understand and discover it. But the technical metadata on its own is a good start, but it's not enough. Show of hands, how many people here generally fill out descriptions when they're creating metadata? Great, you guys are following best practices, but you all know the reality is you go to any org, most of the stuff is empty, right? So, well, it turns out like those descriptions are very useful for AI, right? Because then it can actually understand a little bit more just beyond like the label or the API name or whatnot. So that's where we jump into business metadata, or we also call this metadata enrichments. And so we're working on different tiers of enrichments. We have semantic descriptions where we're using AI to come up with descriptions for things that don't have descriptions. Then we're also implementing things more like on the ontology layer with like business terms and glossaries. We can also bring in the relationships between metadata, and so we can see how things are related, and that gives us some more understanding. So a lot of cool stuff going on that layer, and then the combination of those two things is what gives the AI the deep semantic context, right? So it's not just the what, but then it's the how. So how is the metadata being used? How is it being used to achieve different business processes and things like that? So we see kind of the combination of those two things is really building that intelligent system. And so that is what the Salesforce catalog is. So you can think of it as a central repository or a single source of truth of your Salesforce metadata. So again, I like to think of it, for those familiar with Data 360, right? You're bringing all your data from Salesforce and external systems. We're basically doing the same thing, but for metadata. And the beauty of it is we're building all this stuff on the Data Cloud or Data 360 infrastructure, and so we're using a lot of that as well. And so we have an ongoing pilot right now where we're piloting enrichment and grounding MCP, which we'll also be showcasing you in the demos we have in a little bit. And then we are planning to GA the catalog in June. And then we're doing more and more enrichments over time as well. This is high-level overview of the architecture. Again, for those familiar with Data 360, this will look familiar. But on the left, we start with our data sources. And in this case, it's the metadata, or it's those two columns I showed you previously, right? So we've built a lot of frameworks internally to be able to extract metadata from core and then be able to kind of ingest it via the Data Cloud pipeline. It's not just the technical metadata too, but right, we're generating all those kind of enrichments as well that we're putting into the catalog. And then same thing, we're following the Data 360 pipeline, we're ingesting it. We have data streams, DLOs, DMOs. And then the beauty about using the Data 360 infrastructure is we can vectorize that information and then put it in a search index. And now this becomes a RAG system for AI, and then we can start exposing it for different experiences like vibes and powering our internal agents, and then eventually we'll expose it as a public API that you all can use directly as well, or ISVs building applications on top of as well. All right, I think this is my last slide before I get to the fun part of the session. So what we have today in pilot is this metadata grounding MCP server. You can use it in Vibes. You can use it in any MCP client. It's not just in Vibes. And what we've done here is really give the agent the ability to do progressive metadata discovery. So I'm sure any of you working with these AI systems, right, you know, you got to give it the right data at the right time. You don't want to overload it with information because then you hit the context window and then it's where it starts to hallucinate. So the metadata grounding MCP, we have three different endpoints at the moment. The first one is a describe metadata. So this one, it'll run to figure out what metadata is already living in the catalog. So for the pilot, we have schema. So we have objects and fields and LWC. And we're going to be adding more metadata over time with the goal of having full coverage or almost full coverage. So describe lets the dev agent understand what's in there. Once it knows what's in there based on what it's looking for, then it can run a search. So this is where it runs that semantic search on top, right, on top of kind of the RAG system. Hopefully many of you are familiar with how that works. And then it's able to identify kind of the key sets of metadata records that are relevant based on the request. And then if it needs more information, because all we're giving at that point is basically the label, the API name, description, then it can do a query of metadata and retrieve more and more information. All right, I'm done with my part. I'm going to hand it over to Sally, who's going to show you how we put all this into action. This is my favorite part of the session.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gonzalo. So we saw a lot, we learned a lot, and there is a lot coming, and a lot in the keynote we heard of. So let's try and see some of those in action today. Because I'm a visual person, and I think a lot of developers like to see in action how that will gonna work. So we will take a use case here that we will be working with Pronto. Pronto is a food delivery company. They have 10,000 plus drivers. Currently, they are using manual dispatching, which is causing a lot of delays, and customers are not happy. So the requirement that I got that we want to use like Agentforce vibes and try to build an app for the fleet operation so they have a centralized place where they will handle and manage the drivers. And also we want to add some AI capabilities so people who are using the app internally, they can use an employee agent to manage the drivers faster. So we want to see how we will do that with the mind shift like we have now with the AI era, and that we want to spend more time with the requirements and planning and orchestrating Agentforce vibes more than writing line by line the code. So the process, I will start, and I spend most of the time or a good chunk of time here, like writing the requirements, what's the intent, what I want to build, what are the output that I'm looking for, what are the components I'm looking, the look and feel, like as descriptive as I can. And if I'm a lead developer and I have some technical knowledge, so I would love to add it as well to help with the back and forth with Agentforce Vibe, so I put it up front. After that, the output of this was a PDF. I will feed it to the second phase, which is the reasoning phase. I will give it to Vibes, and I will use the deep planning command, and I will ask for a deep implementation plan. And again, this is the phase as well. I use my time most on it to review the plan and see that everything is going as expected and as I wish to implement if I was going to implement it myself. So the plan here is to spend time here, make sure everything is right. If you notice any issues, you go ahead and fix it, or you can involve Agentforce Vibe to fix the plan for you. Once the implementation markdown file will be completed and ready, I will move it to the next phase, which will be the orchestration. And here, I'll be using Agentforce Vibes. I split my implementation plan into phases because it's a big app. I cannot just go in one go and implement it in one command or one prompt, because the context window in the future with 2.0, it will be orchestrated on my behalf. But for now, I had to do it myself. So we'll be using the MCP servers that Gonzalo explained. We'll be relying on the skills and rule files I will have. And also, Vibes will be doing the metadata files for me. After each phase, I will take the time to do quality control. I'll check the meta files that got executed, implemented, and make sure it matched like the best practices that I'm looking for. And again, it's a decision you have to make. If there is something you are concerned about or you're not happy, whether you will do it yourself manually or you will involve Agentforce Vibes to fix it for you, so we can go into iteration until I'm happy and ready to ship the phase or the part of the implementation that I've done. And I will go into this loop with each phase until the app is ready, and we'll see it together. So we'll see a demo now together about this implementation of the app, and we'll go through it quickly. We summarize it for you so you can see it all in one go. So this is the first demo. This is the requirement document or the specification document. It has more than just business requirement. It will have all the details I wanted to include, like if I wanted to use global picklist values, the objects, fields, and also at the end, like if I want to have an app or Lightning app added for me, I included that I want to have 2 LWC components, and I tried to explain what I want or what I'm looking for each. And the final piece, I wanted to implement an employee agent, so I put some requirements here, what I'm looking for, what are the steps I'm looking for the agent to do, the actions. And once this is ready, I took it to Agentforce Vibes. I used the multimodal support. I included my PDF, and I used the deep planning. And I asked for the implementation markdown file to be generated. And here, Agentforce Vibes, whether if needs more questions, will ask me for the answers. If not, it will just implement the markdown file for me. So it will keep adding and creating the markdown file. And once it's ready, again, we'll take a pause and we'll review it with the team, make sure if anything needs to change. And again, I can change it manually or ask Agentforce Vibe to change it for me. Next, we'll be moving to the execution, and this is where we'll go phase by phase. So here I asked to go for the phase 1, which was the data model, and I refer to the implementation markdown file. in Agentforce Vibes and ask to start the implementation. And we'll see while it's working that it will, I made sure again as well that we have the MCP servers enabled. I asked to use the context API. MCP, sometimes it pick it on its own. If not, you can just ask, like, use the MCP for the API context to make sure the syntax is correct. So here I started it, for example, here it's the global pick list value. It called the API context to get the right syntax and make sure that the output match the best practices of the global pick list, and it gets deployed with no issues. The same, we'll be doing this for the data model, the objects, and the fields. And until it's completed and we'll deploy, we'll move to the next phase after that. I said, like, I want to go to 1B for like tabs, apps, and permission set, and we'll see as well how it will execute. Here we have like it picked up that Agentforce Vibes has a skill for me for creating the tabs. So it started to load this skill to know how to implement the tab one by one. And we'll do the same for the rest of the metadata files as well. It will pick the next skill. I want to do an app now. So it picked the next skill, and we're working on the app. And here, the same for the permission set. And that helps a lot because it loads the best practices and the requirement for the meta file. So it solves like the problem of the back and forth or the syntax error. And then I will move to the next phase, and we'll keep going. And you'll notice like my prompts started to be smaller and smaller, just referring to the implementation and asking for the next phase. And now the record pages, to create the record pages. And again, the metadata got generated for me, and the background, and if it needs like the MCP server for the context API or any skills, it will load it and make sure that everything got created and deployed, and I'm happy with it. The next phase would be for me to review that everything got created, so I can open the org, check that the objects, fields, list views, the tabs are there, and if I have any concerns, anything that I need to fix, I can go ahead and do it. And it's very important that we need our skills to be able to know where to go and how to fix it if needed as well. So next would be we had a phase for automation where we needed to create a flow. And again, I started, and it will load the skill for it, and it will know how to create the flow, and it will start the implementation. And it will get all the fields that the flow need. It will create a plan here, step by step, how it will be creating the flow to show me where is the Agentforce Vibe from the progress. And again, here it's using search metadata type from the MCP, from the context API to make sure the syntax for the XML file for the flow is correct. And I will approve, and it will start doing the generation, and I will deploy, and we'll see together how, like I will showcase here that we open to see that the flow exists, it got created, deployed correctly, and we, like in real life, you'll take your time, review it. Again, if it needs fixes, you can fix it yourself or include Agentforce Vibes if needed. So here the flow is ready. And then after that, we'll go to the next phase where I needed to create 2 LWC components and the classes and controllers for them. So I will do one LWC at a time. And again, it creates the classes. Here, I made sure that I have all the Apex rules or the rule files I want to enable. So if you have anything that you want to enable, you can just toggle on here for it. And you can continue, so Agentforce Vibes will load it in the context and use it for the generation. We'll continue the same for the here. It's creating the LWC component. And after that, we'll move for the verification for the first LWC. We'll make sure it's added to the component. And I was pretty impressed with like the lightning map that got created, the look and feel. It's pretty much very impressive. And we'll move to the next one. And here in this one, I had in the requirement I wanted to try that I will have a specification that I want to have controller, service, selector layers implemented. So it creates the 3 layers for me. And again, it created the test classes, and I was able to run the test classes, and everything was good. So creating the 3 layers of the classes right now. And after that, we'll move to creating also the LWC component. And we'll see it together that it got added. Again, it's pretty impressive look and feel to be generated for me quickly through Agentforce Vibes. And we can see the panels, and the next phase will be the agent. I gave to start the process to create the classes needed for the actions. And I will ask after to create the script. And when the script got created, I would just, what I did in the background, I opened and verified that it looks good. And it needed, to be honest, some fixes. I did the fixes manually myself because the script is still new, and we need to work on the skills for it to be more like understand from the requirement when to use deterministic versus like prompt instructions. So I had to do this, and I deployed, and let's see it in action how it's working. So we'll go to the Pronto app. Again, I added the permission set for my user to be able to use it, but here we have 15 available agents, and we'll see how we'll use the employee agent to assign one delivery assignment, and we'll see how the numbers will change. So we'll use here this delivery assignment name, and I will ask to assign it to a driver, and I will choose which driver I want to check, like which driver is available in the area, and I will click enter. It used natural language. Here, the available became 14 instead of 15, and if I go to the delivery assignment card, it moved to the assigned column, and I see the driver assigned to it. So it was very impressive to get it done all with Agentforce Vibes. So just to give you a summary.
Can we give her a round of applause for that demo? Nice job.
So to give you a summary of what we were able to build here, like we built in total, like without counting one by one, around 120 components between like the fundamentals, objects, between the AI, like the UI, Lightning app, record pages, the LWC, their controller, classes, selectors, everything, and also the agent from the two sub-agents and the classes as well, or the tasks. So if I ask everyone in the room, do you think like it takes a day, week from multiple users or developers if we don't have Vibes? Do you think weeks? So month, okay, so month, okay? Multiple months. So between after I finished the implementation or the requirement phase and the implementation plan phase, it took me around 6 hours between the orchestration and between the verification phase. So more or less a day. That's like very impressive, and yes, I still feel developers are needed because I had to prompt correctly. We could have spent more time if I didn't prompt correctly, and also I had to step in sometimes and fix issues. It's not perfect from the first go, so you need the knowledge and you need someone to review. I reviewed, and if it's production, it will take more time. And as Gonzalo explained, like we had all those 3 levels taken care as well in the background for us. What about another impressive demo? I was super happy to get it done. Let's move on to the next demo. Next demo we'll simulate that we have a new developer coming called Alex. He's a newcomer. We didn't spend time with him to explain like the components and the org and how things are working. We just asked him for a change. So we gave him an image, and we wanted a change, and we want to see how Agentforce Vibes will help him with this requirement and this implementation quick. So let's move on. Here we gave him an image for this component, and we told him, like, oh, you know what? Like, we have VIP and priority and standard delivery assignments, but I'm not happy with the colors. I want you to change the color. So the change is not big, but he doesn't know anything. So he took the image for the component, and he put it for the multimodal support in Agentforce Vibes. And then he spent a little bit of time, not much, writing the prompt and saying that I want to change this. They are asking me to change the VIP to still be red, but the priority to be yellow, and the standard to be green instead of blue. And he said, like, I want to use the grounding MCP server. And let's see, like, does he has the component? We didn't give him any knowledge about the org, so let's see. We don't have anything in the Visual Studio Code. The project is empty. He doesn't have any LWC or classes or anything. So that will be the impressive part that Agentforce Vibes will get it done. Let's go, and we did the act. Agentforce Vibe said, like, OK, I need to use the grounding MCP server because it checked quickly. We don't have anything in the local Visual Studio Code. So it did the grounding. and I try to find the right component. So sometimes it does it once, and sometimes it does it twice, as per like Gonzalo was explaining. So here got more. It's just looking for it. So I did the progressive metadata disclosure, and voila, we found the LWC component that we need to work with. It's the dispatch LWC component. And after that, I still don't have it local, so it ran another MCP server tool to retrieve it, to find it, to pull it from the org local in my project. And then Agentforce Vibes, task is easier now to do just the change the color, and we'll see as well. We'll use another feature, which is the live preview, to see how it looks in Visual Studio Code before moving to deploying it. So I can verify the colors became red, yellow, and green as expected. So I went ahead, or Alex went ahead and deployed, and he will go and do another final verification in the org. He refreshed, and he found that the change looks good without the knowledge or the name of the component or how to do it. So again, pretty impressive, right? And the option of having multimodal support is big. Like, there is a lot of potential and options to do with. So yeah.
All right, can we give a round of applause for those two demos? I think pretty impressive. How many of you have been in Alex's situation to some degree or not? Like, again, I mean, that demo was like 2 minutes long, but he basically was able to take care of that, like, I don't know, within an hour or so. So pretty impressive. And that just gives you a sneak peek of how the grounding MCP is going to help identify the right pieces of metadata.
Yeah.
So go for it.
So again, like, just a quick recap, like we saw here, the multimodal support, so you can put an image, and Agentforce Vibes will know how to deal with it or what you're asking for. It used semantic search and used the MCP grounding to get the right component you're looking for from the org without pulling it or knowing which one it is. And finally, we used the live preview as well in Visual Studio Code to see how it looks like before Alex deployed to the org. So that takes me to the next step. I want to share, based on my experience, I've been playing with Agentforce Vibes for a while now. And based on my experience, those are the tips. Like, I would say, be strategic about your prompts. Like, I saw people sometimes going to Agentforce Vibes to do things that they can do with CLI command, or it's easy to do through Visual Studio Code. In my opinion, why to lose like some API requests or credits or tokens, like, while doing those? Just do it yourself. Like, it's not like we have to do it all in everything. Like, we have to be strategic when to use it. The next is write a prompt with clear intent. And again, it's good to be clear what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to do. If you have any preference or best practices, add it to a rule, skill, or if it's a one-time thing, add it as a context like reference in the prompt. But be careful with the context window size. You don't want to hit it and add so many files as well. That will take us, like, if you have something repetitive, go and write a skill, write a rule file for it. Again, it's a skill. Get used to how to do it. It helps, and it helps control the quality, and it helps control like the back and forth, so you don't have to go always and do the same change and fix every time. Do we have to get the skill and rule file correct from the first go? The answer is no. Treat it as a live document. You can start somewhere, and then on the go, like, test it. You're happy with it, you're fine. If not, go and fix it and start using it. And it's repetitive until you are super happy with it, to the extent that you're ready to share it with the rest of the team. Next will be, again, I will always say it, treat the AI output as a good, amazing junior developer, but you are the human in the loop, and you are the one in control. I saw a lot of changes sometimes that came, and they were not to my standards or the way I wanted. So that's why I always say you need to know how to do things correctly so you can judge and fix if needed. Next is always start a new task when there is a distinct change. Don't keep, like, I see people sometimes keep going with the same chat or same task window over and over again, and sometimes that hits the context window, and Agentforce Vibes decide to compact the context window, and we lose important information along the path. So start new, fresh task if needed. Invest in the metadata, as Gonzalo said, like AI will need it, so treat it as required and always fill it with descriptive text, not ABC or something. Like try to use it properly and fill it properly. Last is start today, experiment. It's a learning curve. We are not perfect, but we need to know how to use the tools. And like, don't be scared that it will take the job. Our job will be secure. It's just the way we are doing things will be different. So be part of the change and start like train yourself on how to do things. And thank you so much. I will hand it over to Gonzalo.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Let's give her another round. I mean, there's a reason she won the golden hoodie. It's been great partnering with Sally. She's really gotten her hands deep in all these tools and given us great feedback. And hopefully, you all walk away with some actionable insights you can actually start putting into play. So we're getting to the end of the session. This is where you can pull out your phone. If you want to participate in the metadata grounding pilot, feel free to scan this. There's an intake form. I love it. I'm looking to recruit more customers. I see like at least 30 people pulling out their phones, so it's great. Would love for you all to get your hands on it and give us more feedback as we head to the June GA. Let me know if everyone's got it. Perfect. If you still need it, come find me after. We'll give it the info. And yes, this kind of takes us to the end. We have 2 call to actions for you all. If you're not already part of it, please join the Agent Blazer or the Agentforce Vibes Trailblazer community. That's where we'll be posting more links to all these updates and keeping you updated on the latest innovation for Vibes. And then Sally?
Yeah, just this is a QR code for Code with Sally community group. It's Trailblazer community group. And we run live sessions. We have different interesting sessions coming, helping teaching coding, AI concepts. So feel free to join the community. You'll find all the links you need from Slack, WhatsApp, YouTube, and happy to have you part of the family of Code with Sally.
All right. We do have a couple minutes for Q&A. So I think there's a mic up there. So feel free. This is like the true to the core. Well, thank you so much. And I think we got to leave this slide on for if anyone wants to give us feedback. But happy to take questions.